Hello, everyone. Happy 2025 and welcome to episode 9 of College Sucks. I'm your host, Davia Samantha Davidson, a student affairs professional who has been in college most of her life. Yes. And this week, we will be talking about something that's near and dear to my heart, manifesting your best semester yet. Now, in this episode, we're going to be exploring how college students can intentionally design and manifest the semester they've always dreamed of, whether they're striving for academic excellence or a vibrant social life or even personal growth. I'm here to guide you through actionable steps to align your goals with your mindset and habits. So if you're ready to win in 2025, no matter what all those other semesters were like, you need to stay tuned. All right, so before we dive into it, what exactly is manifesting? It's the buzzword all around the place. Everybody's talking about it, law of attraction, that type of thing. But let me give you a quick definition of what manifesting is. It is the act of using methods such as visualization, picturing something in your mind, and affirmation, repeating positive phrases to help you imagine achieving something in the belief that doing so will make it more likely to happen. Manifesting is based on the idea that you can think your dreams into reality. So that's basically what I'm talking about. A lot of times, before you can achieve a goal, you have to imagine, you have to know that goal. First and foremost, you need some clarity there. Then you have to see yourself getting there, which for me, I often say to the persons that I'm encouraging to do manifesting, because like this is my thing, that you have to see yourself actually doing the work that you need to do to get to where you need to get to. All right. And we'll dive into that a little bit more. So I just want you to know that it's not about magic just like that. Not that I don't believe in magic. I do believe in it, honestly, because some things I believe in miracles, I believe in luck, I believe in all of those things because sometimes some things just happen and you cannot explain them. So there has to be something else, something there, something extra, and I really do believe in it. Um, find it strange if you want, but I'm standing on that hill that there is a something extra in the air that we can tap into. So I don't want you to only think that, hey, this semester I am going to, I'm just going to achieve all my goals. I'm going to get only A's. I'm going to start dating my dream guy. All my fees are going to be paid and just sit down, and that's what's going to happen. I said manifesting, not being unrealistic. No, it's not just wishful thinking. There has to be some connected steps. There has to be a connection between mindset, habits, and results. All right. So you have to align your dreams to how you see yourself, how you affirm yourself, the things that you do on a daily, on the regular. These are your habits and what kind of results they yield. So it's just thinking about the thing, being clear about it, and then doing the things you need to do to get there. All right. So in this episode, I'm going to take you through 5 steps that I think can help you to achieve the semester you want, manifesting your best semester yet. So, the first thing is that you need to define what you want. I always say, and anybody who's, who knows me, who's listening to this and knows me, when I always tell the story about looking for something, right? Can't find the thing at all. Only to one day just Google what the thing that I'm looking for looks like. Now, granted, I own the thing, all right? But I couldn't remember what it looked like. So I Googled it. And can I tell you that within probably 30 minutes of remembering, seeing, having a visual of what the thing looked like, I found it. I'm serious. A lot of times you cannot find what you're looking for because you do not know what it looks like. It's just the reality of the situation. So you need to get specific about what you want, and you need to do it in totality. This might take you an hour, 2 hours, and I will say completely sit down and set your goals and get specific about them. What do you want the semester to look like, even down to the detail of how many weeks are in the semester and what do you want each week to look like for you, and what are the things you're going to be doing. So, when you're being specific, the next thing I want you to do is to be realistic. All right. So, you cannot be swimming in seas, do nothing, but wish it, and then bump into B's or just arrive at A's. It's not going to happen. You have to think about reasonable increments of improvements. All right. You have these people who go on diets at the start of the year and they're like, oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. And if they do not lose 5 pounds in a week, they've given up, not realizing that that's ridiculous. That's unsustainable. You cannot just jump from only getting C's to getting A's. You would have to do a lot, a whole lot. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you have to figure if you are willing to put in the level of work that would be required to make such a massive jump, and the fact that it may be unsustainable because you have not yet created the systems, the mindset, and the habits for it. And just to think about taking steps between letter grades. So if you are a B student and you want to become, if you're a B or B plus student and you want to become an A student, that's a little bit easier for you. That's manageable. That's realistic. If you are a C student, if you failed a couple of courses, we need to try to see if we can get you up to B first before you want to think about going to the other level, because you don't have the habits yet, the belief system yet, the whole mindset to really bump you up that far. And all of that work is going to be happening in a 13-week semester. So you need to be realistic. So what are the action steps? First and foremost, you need to be honest with yourself and you need to admit, how was last semester? What were some things you did that were good? And what were some things that you did that were not so good? And how can you improve those things and improve yourself? I'm trying to say one word altogether. So, for example, at my college, I find that students don't do some of the small things that would make a massive difference. If you look at an athlete who sometimes they come last in a race and they are jumping up and down and they're so excited, and you are like, are you kidding? Did you not see that you came last? But what they're excited about is that they have shaved off 2 seconds of their time, right? And for them, that's a huge improvement. Okay. So even in planning what you want to achieve, you have to stay in your lane and know what your times are and try to match, improve on those times. So some of the simple things, for example, just making it to class on time. Let's start with that. Right? Get into class on time so that you are there to catch every bit of the notes, all the information, all of that. You can set that as one of your goals. We haven't even gotten to the letter grade yet. But even if you say, I just want to be on time for my classes at least, let's say 60% of the time. 60%. And if you exceed that, well, that would be fantastic. That in and of itself is a small enough win that would give you enough confidence. And the amount of discipline it's going to take you for somebody who used to be late all the time to just being on time, you would be surprised how that level of discipline can really turn over into your academic work. It's the small things. So when you are visualizing improving your grades, you need to also visualize improving your attitudes towards your schoolwork and your overall performance at the college level. Like, what level of professionalism are you going to approach it with? Because making sure that you're going to classes on time, doing your assignments not the night before they're due, those are things that seem so huge, and yet really they're so small, because if you start the assignment a day after you've gotten it, that can make a huge improvement in your ability to read things over, to delete unnecessary paragraphs, words, phrases, just things that will slip your grade down. Like, if you are just able to work on those things, you would be amazed how far you can get. So, definitely, when you're visualizing, you need to look at what you want, but also the steps that you need to take to get there. And look, I don't need to be the person to tell you what you need to do to get these grades. You know, in the back of your mind, even at the front, you know. But sometimes we just let this whole feeling of calm botherness and getting sucked into feelings that we have about other things that have nothing to do with the schoolwork that we're paying our tuition for drag us from what we really should be trying to do, which is to get the best grades that we can, because grades matter. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. All right. So the next step in this manifestation journey is to align your thoughts and habits. Okay. So you have to make sure what you're thinking and what you're doing are in concert. They are they're aligned. It's You're walking in rhythm. All right? You're coupled up. You go together. Your thoughts and your habits are in a deeply loving relationship. They're not at war with each other. They're not suing each other. Not talking bad about each other. They are literally completing each other's sentences. They're on the same page. You have to make sure that you are only speaking of yourself positively. It's okay to go into a class, and when you look at the course outline, you feel like, oh my gosh, there is no way. There is no way. It's okay, because you are not transforming into a new person. It's going to be difficult for someone who had a different way of looking at things or thinking about school to just immediately start to try to think positively about things, to not get overwhelmed by things. And you have to be kind to yourself in and realistic in thinking about this. So you need to move from looking at things and thinking, I can't do this, it's too hard, it's too much, to this is hard. Okay? Realistically, this is tough. I've looked at this course outline. It requires a lot of reading, a lot of calculations. It has 3 pieces of assignment. That's a lot, coupled with all the other courses I have to do. I have a lot of work to do. It's okay to admit that. But then to just try to break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces, and just try to work with really the things that you can control and you can improve quickly. Which, like I said, is just even how you talk to yourself, that I am going to get a good grade in this course. You may not be brave enough to set up what kind of grade it's going to be, but you know how you perform. A lot of courses are upward levels of courses you've done already. So now you're going deeper into the subject matter, or you're looking at it from a different perspective. With the prior knowledge that you have, how can you build on that to get a good grade? So you have to start talking to yourself positively and starting to create better habits for yourself that match the talk. So you can't say I'm an A student and then be flexing like a C student. You know what I mean? And that even means that you're hanging out with C students, students who have said out of their own mouths that I just want to pass. You can't want to be getting higher than a C and still be hanging out with the C's. You can hang out with them, but not when it comes down to academic work, because your circle has a huge impact. I was listening to something that said that people who work with high performing people, their level of performance it rose to meet the person they were working with. So your circle definitely impacts the quality of work that you're going to be doing. So if you want to improve your grade, you need to start hanging out with the people who are constantly working hard to get the good grades. All right. And If there is a savant in your class, meaning there's somebody who naturally work comes to, they don't have to put in the level of work that you may have to, they are probably not the crowd for you. They're naturally gifted, and that's fine. Those are not the gifts you got. You need to go find the hard workers or become a hard worker. And you need to start that in your mind with positive thoughts and good habits. One of the things that I do to try to achieve the goals that I want every year is I create a vision board. I'm a vision board girl. I need the visual. I need to see it. So for me, exercising is something that comes as a challenge personally. And so I put up images of fit women. I put up images of healthy food. I put up images of just things that make you feel good, the achievements. And so some mornings when I get up and I don't feel like doing it, there's my vision board right there reminding me these are the things you said you wanted for yourself. You said them. Nobody forced you to cut out these pictures and paste them on the board. You decided to do that. So this is what you said you wanted. So now my brain does this thing where it's like, oh, if I want that, I have to get up and do the things that will get me there. So that's something that you can do. Some people journal as well, where they write down their goals and they love being able to tick it off. So on Sundays, you can probably write, I want to get to all of my morning classes on time. And you just set them up. You write down the classes, and by at the every day that you get there on time, you just tick it off. Like, people love that, being able to say that yes, I've matched something I've said. My words have matched my actions, and it's working well. All of that. So you need to just form the habits and positive mindset, positive self talk to get you to where you need to get to. All right, the next thing is a big one. You need to let go of perfectionism. This tends to be a problem. And I'm saying this as someone who is personally struggling with this on the daily. Like, even launching this podcast, I took forever to do it because I was just worried that it wasn't going to be perfect. And I didn't know how to edit, and I didn't know how to do my art, and I just didn't know any other things. And so I spent so much time researching, listening, and doing no action towards it because I just felt like, oh, if I can't do it perfect, I'm not going to do it at all. Let's put it this way: when it comes on to your schoolwork, there is a deadline and it has to be submitted. And nobody is asking you for perfect work, they're asking for work. And you determine how good your work can get by how much effort and energy and self belief you put into it. Perfectionism is the thief of joy, and it is the waster of time. We use it as a crutch and as an excuse to not get into what we want to get into. It's the truth. We're just so afraid. And then we keep talking about, oh, I don't want to hand it in, and then, you know what? You have to hand it in anyway. So you might as well start on it. Try to get as much feedback as you can. Hand it in early if you're worried that it may not be perfect. And maybe your lecturer will be like, sir, ma'am, what is this? This is what you need to do. Give you some more guidance. But this idea that you're waiting for the perfect opening line to your essay, you're waiting for the perfect sources, you're waiting for inspiration and motivation. Oh, that's a joke right there. Is just ridiculous. And what you're doing is wasting your time, frustrating yourself. And then you never find the perfectionism, by the way, At the end of the day, you've waited so long that nothing more than the night before is going to be good enough to go in, because you've waited so long waiting for this perfect opportunity to sit down, write down perfect paragraph, the perfect sentences, the perfect calculation, the perfect everything, and then you got nowhere. So this is what I will say to you. Start. You get your assignment today. If it is even to read the question and rewrite it in your own handwriting, there's something that says when you write something with your hand or you type it and you read it back, a kind of chemical activity happens in the brain, and immediately it starts to unlock the resources. You start seeing the answers everywhere. Some of you get the assignment and like you fold it up like a love letter and tuck it somewhere. Like, oh, if I hide this, somebody else will miraculously do this work for me. It's not going to happen. Start. And just know that just because you think you have done something to your best, to the best of your ability, does not mean that the grade that you expect that you might get it. You have to let go of that. It's okay. Setbacks are a part of the process. Not getting the best grade first is a part of the process. You can't afford to be daunted by that. You have to be like a professional athlete and just bounce back as quickly as possible. I know I talk about sports a lot. I watch a lot of sports, okay? But I'm just saying you have to bounce back. You have to get over it and you have to move on. You have to be flexible and you have to adapt to changes and you have to be okay with getting negative feedback. You have to. A lot of times, I don't know if it is the age, because I remember being in college and sometimes getting back a grade, and it felt like a personal assault. Like the lecturer knew me personally and was speaking down to me in some kind of way. When really what I needed to do was go to the office and say, all right, sir or ma'am, what did I do and what can I do to get better? I think it would have served me way better the quicker I had learned that. So I'm telling that to you right now. You have to be open to feedback. That is a part of letting go of perfectionism. And you have to know that this thing isn't personal. You're hunting a grade, right? It's not a meal that you have prepared 50 times and you know it's the best and somebody says, oh, this is absolute garbage. No, it's a grade with a rubric that somebody has to assign the grades. You can't take it so personally. So you have to get a tough skin, you have to be open to feedback, and you have to let go of perfectionism if you're going to achieve these goals. All right, the next one, you need to take inspired action. So a while ago, I was talking about this whole waiting to be inspired, needing to be motivated, dealing with feelings like, oh, I didn't feel like, listen to me now. A lot of times, feelings are not real. I am very serious. Unless it is pain, a lot of times the feelings you have are based on the information you're working with. All right? Because if you've ever been in a relationship, I am sure somebody you have dated, you thought that was the love of your life and you were going to marry him or her. And now you can't even stand to hear their name. As a matter of fact, you've forgotten about it. Them. So, what has happened to those feelings? Where did they go? Did they vanish? Yeah, they did. Because they probably were not real feelings or they were only feelings for that moment, which means that you can get new feelings and different feelings. You see the point I'm making here? You have to know what is the next step for each goal that you want to achieve, and you need to not base any of these off feelings. Now, of course, when you get the good grades and your GPA improves and you've had a successful semester, you're going to feel happy. But best believe when the next semester comes, those feelings have gone. See what I'm saying? Feelings are moving objects. They really are. I'm not saying they're not genuine and you don't have any right to them. But when it comes down to your academic work, you cannot base what you are doing off feelings. I don't feel like going to class. It's not an option. You got to go. It is what it is. You have to do these things whether you feel motivated, yes or no. And you have to break everything that you have to do in manageable tasks and pay attention to deadlines. You have some students who they just take pleasure in never handing in the work on time. What's up with that? Why are you doing this to yourself? Stressing yourself out. There is no way you can hand in late work and it's gonna be an A. I promise you. It's not gonna work unless you were sick or something and then you bounce back and you just that's not how it works. It doesn't go like that. You have to hand in your things on time and you need to develop good relationships with your classmates, with your lecturers, with students who are in the year above you so that you can get the support that you need to get to where you need to get to. All of this is a part of taking inspired action. The next thing that I'm going to tell you to do is to practice gratitude. Honestly, this is life changing. This is probably the magic ingredient, right? Daily practice of gratitude can help to keep you positive. I remember I I found life a little bit easier the more I started to look at it through a lens of gratitude. Even the worst kind of situation. Once, I've said, well, this is the plus from that. There are a bunch of minuses, but here is one plus that I can leave with. You would be amazed how better that makes you feel. You need to also be tracking your progress, which is what gratitude helps you to do. To say, well, I didn't get the grade that I expected, but I got better than the last time. I went to 60% of my classes on time. I read over my paper before I handed it in. I studied for the test. These are all wins, especially if you weren't doing them before. That's definitely a win. And you should reward yourself for that. You should give yourself a tap on the back, a high five to yourself because you have done something that you did not do before. You saw that through. And I'm telling you, just by staying the course, tracking your progress, celebrating small victories, you can definitely improve your situation. The next thing is that you probably need to get some accountability partners. I'll tell you a quick interesting story. I remember being in college and having a classmate that at first I wasn't in anything with. Like I just found her personality to be very out there, big. And at the time, I mean, sometimes you're growing up, you have your own insecurities, but she was just very much out there, and you couldn't help but notice her. But one of the things that I did notice was that she was really getting good grades for a course that I was finding challenging. And it dawned on me that I needed to ask her how she was able to achieve that. And we are friends to this day. I've actually done a live with her for my job. And that relationship really built from me saying to her, hey, I noticed that your grades are amazing for this course. How do you find time to study with all the things we have to do? And she was the one who let me know that one of the things that she does is as soon as she gets home, she goes to bed, she wakes up when it is quiet, and she reads all the required things that she needs to do and she works on past paper questions. I had, well, first and foremost, I had no idea they had past papers. No, it sounds crazy now saying it, but I had no idea. And that she was able to answer the questions in classes so well because she had practiced answering questions from past papers. She'd seen them before. So when the lecturer was asking, she already knew the answer and she had time to craft the answer because she was at home at like 4 in the morning at her leisure, reading, using the textbook to answer the question. I would not have known that if I did not put my pride aside, if I did not let her big personality, um, which was a problem to me, if I didn't let go of that and get to the facts, like you are where I want to be. Can you tell me how I can get there? And that's just been a lesson I've taken with me all through my life. Like, if you see somebody you admire, whether you are close to them, yes or no, and even if they're making you feel uncomfortable because their personality is so different from yours, and you're not used to it, you're not exposed to that type of personality. And trust me, the girl was just living her life and being her best self. But I just, I wasn't really used to that. I'm an introvert, and yeah, just asking her that simple question really helped me to figure out something that I could do. And at the end of the day, her help really got me to where I needed to get to the point where I got an A overall for the subject. And I couldn't honestly, that little bit of information, that little detail, that little adjustment in my habits had a huge impact. All right, I see that I have been talking for a long time, and I know you don't have time for this, but I just want to wrap up by saying manifestation isn't magic. It's a combination of clear intention, strategic action, and unwavering belief in your ability to create the life you want. This semester is your canvas. You have the tools to make it extraordinary. All right. So I'm just asking you for a couple of favors here. I want you to write in the comments what your goals are for the academic year, because once you share them, once you get your little accountability partner, somebody to say, hey, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Are you going to classes on time? Have you started your assignment yet? You would be amazed to see how well that helps and how far that gets you. So I just want you to use the hashtag in the comments, manifest your semester, and tell me what your goals are. Who knows? I might be able to offer you some advice into getting to where you need to get to. And also, if there's a topic that you would love for me to cover or to offer you some advice about, I'm all ears. I'm open to it. I want this to be a kind of relationship where we are connecting, we're having conversations, because I really want you to have the best college journey you could have just by learning from some of the mistakes I made and some of the things that I've observed. All right, so thank you so much for listening to the end. And I look forward to hearing what your plans are for this semester. And remember, I know college sucks, but it doesn't have to. And one of the ways in which it can suck less is if you listen to me and see how we can work through it together. Thank you. Bye.